Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Good evening, Kitty Cube. How is Crystal doing? The same. Not any better, not any worse. But I got my mother-in-law to come over and sit with her so I can do tonight's trivia night. So, Nikki, good evening. And Gianna Marie, good evening, and welcome to all of you to tonight's trivia night. I hope we all had a terrific week and weekend. I've been here since the start. LOL. You can't see my original hello. I'm thinking. Kitty Q? No. That's the only message I see, Kitty Q, is the first one is this one. That's the first one I see. Nikki and ooh, we have Wendy Lee. Good evening, Wendy Lee. Anna Marie, good evening and welcome. Hope we all had a great weekend. Weekend has been good. Good. We'll wait, give it a couple more minutes for people to jump in, and then we'll get tonight's trivia going. Oh, I said hello, everyone, first. I'm sure you did, Kitty Coo. I don't see it on my end. It's probably delayed. Make sure you're on live chat, if you know everyone. Not on top chat. Live chat, that way you don't see a delay between your messages and the questions that are displayed on the screen. If you're new here, the format is basically every single question has a multiple choice, A, B, C, or D. You answer that in the comment section of what the answer is. So you'll see the question and 4 possible choices. You may see some people enter E as an option for some other comical reason, or maybe they just assume that it's a different answer. But we're just here to have fun and learn something new about cases. All the trivia questions tonight are on fathers that have committed murder. Now, we were supposed to do this last weekend, but my family unexpectedly decided for Father's Day weekend to send me out of town for Father's Day with my friend on a golf excursion. So thank you, Kitty Q. So this was supposed to, again, we were supposed to air this one on Father's Day, but here we are doing it this weekend. Cali Lisa. Good evening, Cali Lisa. Welcome to tonight's trivia. I hope you had a great weekend. But we'll do 10 trivia questions, and then we have a break that's always after the 10th question. During the break time, I cover cases of people that are, from here in North America that are missing and endangered. These are active, open missing person cases from here inside the United States, North America. I did have a good golf trip, Kitty Q. I did. But then after the missing and endangered, we have 10 more trivia questions, and then the question of the week. All right, let's get tonight's trivia going. This is the 361st episode of true crime trivia. 360 episodes are on, like, approximately on the channel. There's about 75 or so that are no longer available, but well over 280 that are available. Viewer discretion is advised for all of tonight's content, and more than normal. Obviously, every single one of these individuals killed. So viewer discretion is advised. Trivia Night strictly adheres to factual evidence and verified data from the FBI, Department of Justice, and Scotland Yard whenever needed. It does not include conspiracy theories, speculations, or unverified claims about what may have happened. If you are seeking sensationalism or content related to similar theories or lies are spread by those who can't be bothered to do the research on the topic, this event and topic may not be the right fit for you. Neither I nor my advertiser or sponsors associated with this content shall be held responsible for individuals under the age of 17 accessing this material. They know how they do it, and it's not our fault if they do. It is age restricted on every single platform that I stream to. Additionally, we are not liable for comments in our live chat messages, as these do not necessarily reflect the views or our opinions. That is not for YouTube. That is for Facebook and for X. People over there do not like to be restricted in their freedom of speech, and they can say what they feel like. They can say whatever they want about anyone and everything. Well, I'm not responsible for, or should be held to their standards. Again, viewer discretion is advised. That all of the content here we talk about on this trivia night are about criminals and the offenses that they have covered, that they have committed. With that said, viewer, your question number one is now on your screen. What Colorado man killed his pregnant wife and two daughters in 2018? I had a wonderful long weekend, says Callie Lisa. And good evening, Purple. Welcome to tonight's trivia. Thursday through Sunday. That is a nice long weekend. Question number one. What Colorado man killed his pregnant wife and two daughters in 2018? Was it A, James Conner, B, Christopher Watts, C, Chris Conley Jr., or D, Ronald James Smith? Gemma. Good evening, Gemma. I'm going to watch your live stream, Gemma, that you did today after this. I did not know you were going live until after when I sat down to log in to YouTube to do tonight's stream. I saw that you had done a live stream. I will watch that after tonight's. But I hope that you're doing better. Question number one. Well, looks like everybody's going with B. Inner Peas. Good evening, Inner Peas. Welcome to tonight's trivia. Question number one. The correct answer is B as in boy. Chris Watts is the Colorado man who killed his pregnant wife and two young daughters in 2018. Question number two. What former NFL player was convicted of conspiring to kill his pregnant girlfriend? Was it A, Ray Rice, B, Ray Carew, C, Ray Davis, or D, Ray Conner? Question number 2 of 20. What former NFL player was convicted of conspiring to kill his pregnant girlfriend? You're still upset about this one? And I understand that. QDQ, I don't know. C? Question mark, question mark. Question number 2. The correct answer is B, as in boy. Ray Carew. He was a player for the Carolina Panthers of the NFL. He shot and tried to kill his pregnant girlfriend, but he shot her in the belly and actually hit the baby, trying to kill her in the baby. And if you really want to be sad, you want to read more about it, get out a box of Kleenexes and look up the case of Ray Carew and what he did and what transpired while he was in prison. And the baby was born, obviously, and you can read all about that, what happened afterwards later on. Question number 3. Which Texas father killed his 2 sons in 2016, leaving a lengthy letter blaming the boys' mother? Was it A, James Jones Jr., B, James Rose, C, James Heal, or D, Jean Pierre Nebraska, or however you pronounce that? And I'm not sure. I didn't write any notes down on how to pronounce that. That's how it's spelled. But which Texas father killed his 2 sons in 2016 and left a lengthy note blaming the mother? Peas, you don't want to be sad? Yeah. I don't blame you. It's horrific. The Ray Carew story is definitely it'll get you if you read up on it. Question number 3 of 20. Which Texas father? And Nikki is correct. But on top of that, Ray Carew asked the baby that was, going to have a lifelong medical and support he asked the child to forgive him for what he did. Sigmund Freud. Question number 3. The correct answer is D, as in dog. Jean Pierre Nebraska, or however you pronounce the last name, is the Texas father. The lengthy note that he left blaming the mother for the marriage falling apart, why he had to go to these extremes to kill his sons. All of the letter, more than I think it's almost 3 pages long, is what I wrote down in my note here. Blaming the mother and railing against her and how it was her fault, when the total circumstances of everything, it was all his fault. His drinking problem led to the fact that he didn't have a job. His emotional and physical abuse of the children and the mother for why the marriage was falling apart and he needed to leave the home. But he still railed against her in the entire letter. Question number 4. Found to be mentally insane, he was still convicted of murdering his 5 children in 2014. Which father was this? Was it A, Timothy Jones Jr., B, Justin Ross, C, James Harris Jr., or D, Chris heel. Oh yeah, something seriously wrong with them, Kitty Coo. Question number 4 of 20. Found to be mentally insane, he was still convicted of murdering his 5 children in 2014. Who is it? Catalisa and Gianna Marie are both going with A. So it's Kitty Coo with the double question mark. Gemma A, and Purple is going with A as well. Question number 4 of 20. Nikki and Wendy are both going with A as well. A seems to be a very popular answer for this one. Let's see if it's right. All right, question number 4. The correct answer is A as in apple. Timothy Jones Jr. was found to be mentally insane at the time that he committed the acts, but he went through what's kind of like what Lori Vallow went through, restorative care. And then he was able to aid in his own defense. And then he was convicted of killing all 5 of his children in 2000. Well, he killed him in 2014. The trial obviously took part later on. But he went through restorative care with medication, and then was found competent to stand trial of the murder of his children. Question number 5. Which father threw their 4-year-old daughter off a cliff, saying he feared the devil and couldn't pay child support? Was it A, Cameron Harris, B, James Polk, C, Cameron Brown, or D, Jimmy Buffett? Keep your eyes on your paper. Question number 5 of 20. Which father threw their 4-year-old daughter off a cliff, saying he feared the devil and couldn't pay child support? Mr. Brady. That's how we all became the Brady Bunch. Dun, dun, dun. The Brady Bunch. The Brady Bunch. Oh boy. Question number 5 of 20. All right, the answer to question number 5 is C as in cat. Cameron Brown. In court at his actual sentencing, when they asked if he had anything left to say to the court before they gave him his sentence, he said that he feared the devil and that he was sorry, but all he could think about was he could not pay child support. He couldn't afford it. And in his mind, this is how he decided that he was going to get out of paying child support. Was it true? I mean, the defendant has the right to say anything they want to the court. It could be a long ranting, about nothing at all, and it has nothing to do with the case. But he said he feared the devil, and if he couldn't afford child support, and that's why he did it. Did you know Timothy Jones Jr. killed all 5 of his children in 2014, then drove across the state lines to bury their body. This act of transporting the body got him state and federal time. He will serve out 1 complete sentence, and if he ever is able to live out that sentence, he will then do the time for the other. Meaning he does not have a death penalty, but he will die in prison. You may get away, even if he wins an appeal on one, he is not going to win an appeal on the other. It's tragic, tragic case. So many people could have stopped Timothy Jones Jr. from what he did, what he would eventually do. The warning signs were there. All of the kids lived in squalor, and CPS had been called multiple times, and they always said, look, he's struggling, but he's going to get through this. He's just going through a hard time. But they kept the case open, but never bothered to check back in on him. They're like, well, somebody called, we'll go look at it. Well, all right, I guess it looks good. The kids are all alive. But during the time that the kids were there living in the home with him, he restricted their access to food, water, bathing, clean clothes, everything. He restricted it all. He used food as a reward. Do exactly what I want when I'm not here. And if you get everything done, you'll eat today. Things like that happened in that household over and over again. Question number 6 of 20. A killer that doesn't get enough coverage is Josh Powell. He killed his son with a hatchet. Then he did what? Was it A, got ice cream, B, went to work as normal, C, set the house on fire, or D, killed his mother? Question number 6 of 20. A killer that doesn't get enough coverage is Josh Powell. He killed his son with a hatchet and then did what? Pippadot, good evening. I did not write down the answer to your question, Kitty Q, if you got the state time first or the federal. I do believe it was state, then federal. The federal, I don't even think he went through a case to it. I think he took basically an offered plea to the one or the other. But I did not write that down, so don't quote me on that. But the one he took like a plea agreement on, no contest or something. I can't remember. Led Bible study. Nikki, I don't know this one. Question number 6 of 20. All right. The answer to question number 6 is C as in cat. He killed his son with a hatchet, and then he set the house on fire. Set his house on fire, and then sat back and watched it burn. Question number 7. Whatever happened to Josh Powell's wife after he killed their children and burned the house down? Was it A, missing, presumed dead, B, remarried, had 6 more kids, C, she moved to Seattle, or D, runs a plant store in Dallas, Texas? And yes, I know that says that is plural. That is a mistake. It should be singular. Child, not children. Child. Whatever happened to Josh Powell's wife, though, after he killed the child and burned the house down? What happened to her? There's the first mistake of the night. It says children and not child. Question number 7 of 20. Kitty question mark. 3 question marks, not just 1, but 3 question marks. So that's a serious questioning. Is it A? Because the more question marks, the more questioning it is. I just don't know. It could be A, but it's not a double question mark. It's a triple. So there's that. Whatever happened to Josh Powell's wife? Question number 7. The correct answer is A as in apple. Missing, presumed dead. They believe that Josh killed the wife first, then the son, or in that order, and then set the house on fire. They never found her body. She is gone, but she is missing, still missing in an active open case of a missing person. But she is presumed dead. Her credit cards, bank accounts, nothing have ever been used since that day. But she is missing and presumed dead. They have not officially listed her as dead, though. But she is presumed dead. Question 8. What Canadian father killed his daughters and wife in what he called an honor killing in 2009? Was it A, Pauly Shore, B, Sir Mix-a-Lot, C, Mohammed Sharif, or D, Mohammed Sir Allah Khan? Question number 8 of 20. What Canadian father killed his daughters and his wife in what he called an honor killing in 2009? Oh, Kitty Goo is back with C and 3 question marks again. Canadian father. Dun, 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 dun. And yes, there are 2 questions that I guess you could call international on tonight's trivia. One from the UK and one from Canada. They are not all 100% North America. Well, not the United States, but never know. You get my point. Brian Laundrie said that too. Brian Laundrie. Oh, what a winner he was. Bonnie asked, was this the guy that drowned them in the car? I do not believe so, Bonnie, but good evening and welcome to tonight's trivia, Bonnie. What Canadian father killed his daughters and wife in what he called an honor killing in 2009? The correct answer is C, as in cat. Mohammed Sharif, however you pronounce it, Mohammed, C. Pippadot, I know he shot both his daughters. I do not remember on how he killed the wife, but I would assume he shot the wife as well. But that's why I'm not sure. I mean, I know it wasn't a drowning, but I'm not sure how he killed the wife. I know he was physically abusive to his wife. Did he beat her and then shoot her or stab her, or something along that lines? Because did he have so much rage for the eldest daughter and for the wife? But I know he shot the two girls. Question number 9. What father murdered his children with a spear gun because he believed that they had serpent DNA and were lizard people? Was it A, Stephen A. Smith, B, Matthew Coleman, C, Skip Bayless, or D, Tony Romo? Question number 9 of 20. What father murdered his children with a spear gun because he believed they had serpent DNA and were lizard people? Oh, Kitaku with 3 question marks again. 3. Why are you throwing in sports writers, and an NFL quarterback into those answers? I don't know, Lisa. Maybe I was watching. I knew have the answers to the question. Sometimes I randomly throw people in. I might have been watching sports when I wrote this one. It was over a week ago when I wrote all these. Because again, this trivia night was supposed to happen last Sunday, not this Sunday. So I probably was watching, um, like sports or sports highlights or something. I mean, I also throw in, Pauly Shore or Barry Morphew and, into the questions too. And I don't think Pauly Shore has ever committed, murder, at least that we know of. I mean, his comedy might have killed somebody, but Shaq. Good evening, Cement Shoes, and welcome to tonight's trivia. I hope you're doing better. Glad to see you. Glad you could make it to tonight's trivia. I mean, think about how many different sports shows Stephen A. Smith is on and Skip Bayless. The two of them, I mean, that's like most of like 80% of talk, sports right there between the two of them. All right, the correct answer to question number 9 is B. Matthew Coleman shot and killed both of his sons, both of his children on a vacation in Mexico. He packed up the family and took them on vacation to Mexico. And he shot and killed them both with a spear gun because he didn't want to get too close to them because he believed that their blood was infected with serpent DNA and that they were lizard people. You'll learn a little bit more about him in just a minute. Question number 10. Paranoia and rage. This UK father murdered his daughter after regaining custody following abuse allegations. Was it A, Ben Butler, B, Chad Munster, C, Sir Matthew Connor III, or D, Pauly Shore? Paranoia and rage. This UK father murdered his daughter after regaining custody following abuse allegations. Question number 10 of 20. 10 of 20. Smoke 'em if you got 'em. Question number 10. Was it finally Pauly Shore? I don't know. Let's find out. The answer to question number 10 is A as in apple, Ben Butler. They took away his daughter because of abuse allegations, abuse and neglect. He then won the case to get custody of his daughter back, and then he murdered her. Shortly thereafter, Ben Butler. Matthew Coleman was driven to believe his children were lizard people by QAnon. Sadly, he believed they were. No one with QAnon was ever held responsible for pushing him to believe this crap. But on QAnon, over and over again, several individuals who hid behind false screen names had pushed the narrative that his children were infected with serpent DNA and that they were lizard people brought here to take over the world, and that they were going to kill him. Even though he was completely, out of his effing mind at the time, he kept on praying to God, that the serpent people would be taken away and that somebody would catch them. Well, then on vacation, he believed that his kids were, again, he looked at them in some psychotic, form and thought, oh my God, my kids are serpent people, the lizard people. They're going to kill me. They're going to take over the world. So he shot and killed them both with a spear gun. All right. It is break time, ladies and gentlemen. If you're new here, we are now going to take a 7-minute break. You do whatever you need to do for the next 7 minutes. Smoke a bowl, shotgun a fifth, whatever it is you do, you. But during this break time, I'm going to cover cases of people who are missing and endangered from across the United States. These, again, are open, active cases. These are not cold cases where they're not taking leads or tips on an individual, or they believe the individual is deceased. Again, they're active, open cases. Your break, 7 minutes, does not start until I start reading the first case. Again, I work with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, the Charlie Project, the FBI, state and local law enforcement agencies, and NamUs. I am working with all four of those agencies to bring a spotlight to these cases in hopes of bringing some resolutions for the families of those who are missing. The first case tonight is David A. Appeal. He was 33 years of age when he disappeared on 10/1 of 2008. He disappeared from Westlake, Ohio. He is 5'10", 165 to 175 pounds at that time, with blue eyes, brown hair, no known scars or tattoos. And yes, he does have a medical issue that he does need to take medication for. It was for depression, but that he was not by any means but listed by his psychiatrist, family, or anyone else from his work as being clinically depressed to the point where he would self-harm himself. It was just something that he was taking at the time. Appeal was last seen in Westlake, Ohio on October 1st, 2008. He has never been heard from again. The red 1996 Honda Civic Del Sol he was driving was later located in Taos, New Mexico, over 1,500 miles away from Westlake. Law enforcement does not believe Appeal drove the car there by himself, and he had most likely a passenger with him. So again, on October 1st, 2008, he was last seen in Westlake, Ohio, and then shortly thereafter, a couple of days later, his car turned up in Taos, New Mexico. Parked alongside of the road, was completely operative. It was not broken down. It wasn't out of gas. It was just parked there, and whoever parked it walked away. If he had to have somebody else help him drive that 1,500 miles to where it was found. But again, they do believe that there's a chance that he could be living somewhere, by, in the New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, or even in California. They believe that those are the locations that we should keep an eye out for him. Unfortunately, this is the only known photo that we could use. The other ones this is from his DMV photo, and yes, it is blurry, so you don't think it's your eyes. But it's the best photo that we have available. If you have any information about where he may be, you can call 440-871-3311 with your information. I cannot confirm if you can remain anonymous at that number. That is not a sheriff's department. It is a local police department for the Westlake, Ohio, where he disappeared from. But you can still call and leave a tip, or you can reach out to your local law enforcement if you know where Appeal is. Next case is Rhonda Renee Sears. She is 54 as of right now today. Well, her birthday was a month ago. She disappeared on 8/26/2022 from Houston, Missouri, not Houston, Texas, Houston, Missouri. She is 5'8", 185 to 190 pounds, green eyes with brown and gray hair. She often dyes her hair back to brown or to a dark blonde. Some people would call it a dirty blonde color. No known tattoos and no known medical issues. Rhonda Renee Sears was last seen in Houston, Missouri on August 26, 2022. She has never been heard from again. Few details are available in her case. In the past, she has worked in several different positions and may have relocated without putting in a forwarding address. Some sites online have her listed as possibly moving to Oklahoma or Tennessee, but these tips have never been confirmed. Again, try to imagine her without glasses, because she has in the past worn contacts along with the eyeglasses, but she does need them for reading, either reading glasses, prescription glasses, or contacts. She could probably get by with readers off the shelf, but they wouldn't be the same. If you know anything about where Rhonda Renee Sears is today, you can call 417-967-4165. And you can remain anonymous at this number. That is the number for the Houston, Missouri Police Department, and they are taking active tips of any sort at all if you've seen her or you know where she is today. Again, the likelihood is that she just simply moved away and didn't bother to tell anybody where she was moving to. As she has worked over the years in the several different positions that she's worked in, she has been a forklift operator. She has worked in light industrial work. She has worked in restaurants. She has worked retail and convenience stores and other alike positions. She has even worked in a restaurant as a server. Again, she very well may have just moved away and didn't bother to tell anybody. Where she lived in Houston, Missouri, in her apartment complex, she did not have any close friends that anyone was aware of. So the apartment where she lived was a furnished apartment. So what she'd left behind was just basically, it could have been, I don't care about these items, and moved on. But the furnishings of the apartment belonged to the apartment complex. So It wasn't like she had to move out and move all the furniture with her. She could have just simply said, screw this place, I'm out of here. We don't know. Again, she's been missing since August 26th of 2022. Break time is not over. You still have several minutes left of your break, if you know, and do whatever you want. Maybe you're not done with shotgunning that fifth of whiskey yet, or smoking that bowl. Whatever, you do you. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. 1 minute and 40 seconds approximately. One minute left. Twenty seconds. Without any further delay, let's get back to our normal programming. Question number 11 is now on your screen. What Florida father killed his daughters and then their mother after he had a delusional psychotic break? Was it A, James Bittner Jr., B, James Cleem Jr., C, Jimmy Dynamite Walker, or D, James Cooley Jr.? Question number 11 of 20. What Florida father killed his daughters and their mother after he had a delusional psychotic break? Dynamite. Little pippinized stump. Bob Ross. That's funny, cement shoes, Bob Ross. I read somewhere that Bob Ross was in the military. I believe he was in the Army or something like that, like or Marines as a ranger or a sniper or something. I can't remember exactly which one it was. It was kind of like one of those like facts that you read about people. It's like, really? Bob Ross was in the military and was like a sniper or a ranger or something like that. I can't remember the exacts. JDR, good evening. Or maybe it was Barry Morphew's Chipmunks. Yeah. Speaking of Barry Morphew, he has been indicted again on murder charges in the first degree. The grand jury came back and indicted Barry Morphew. He was picked up and is going to be extradited back to Chaffee County to stand trial for the murder of Suzanne Morphew. I never thought I would see it in my lifetime. I thought for sure that everything, and all the evidence of the case was, fruit of the poison tree, meaning that, a large amount of what they had put forth in the trial that got dismissed couldn't be used again. They must have new, evidence that they believe, and the grand jury said that they can. Yeah, there's enough here to indict. He was a master sergeant in the Air Force. Well, I knew it was some type of military. I just kind of ran across that fact. It was a while ago. For some reason, it's in the back of my head. Maybe now that I said that, I can get it out of my head and I can fill that space with something else. Question number 11. What Florida father killed his daughters and their mother after he had a delusional psychotic break? The correct answer is D as in dog. James Cooley Jr. had a delusional psychotic break and killed his daughters and his wife, the mother of the children. All right. Question number 12. The heavenly fathers will protect me from the evils inside of me. What man said this in court while being sentenced for killing his family? Was it A, James Jones II, B, Chris Coleman, C, Chris Dean, or D, Ben Butler? They found the tranquilizers in her bones. Is that the evidence? That I didn't think that the tranquilizers would be metabolized into the bones. I thought that I've read somewhere, somebody, I can't remember if it was like the mortician or it was one of those channels that maybe it's another true crime channel where they had somebody on who was an expert, in the use of tranquilizers and how they would metabolize into the system. But if they found tranquilizers in the bone, I mean, how are you gonna prove that it was buried? Yeah, he had tranquilizer darts that he used to, shoot deer and then cut off their antlers. They did find tranquilizer caps in and around the property, but he said he was using those to, hunt chipmunks or some stupid shit. I mean, half of what Barry had to say, I didn't believe any of it. Bone marrow. But what was the actual cause of death of Suzanne? If he tranquilized her, he still had to kill her. And her body was eventually found, I think it was a county over from where, she disappeared on Mother's Day of all days. Mother's Day. Wow. They said he was the only person in the state from the database that had those tranquilizers. I'm not surprised. But then again, why did they never charge him with poaching? I mean, he had the evidence. He admitted to tranquilizing darts and and tranquilizing animals and removing their antlers. That's poaching by Colorado law. That's poaching. But they never charged him with it, and he brought them right to the garage and showed them all the antlers that he had collected, and he admitted exactly how he did it. But all this time, he could have been in prison for, or been sentenced. I know, highly doubt he would have gotten prison for it, but he would have probably gotten some county time. But at least, we would have had him, on that instead of just letting him walk away after all this time. Yeah, Bonnie, that's a very valid question. about his daughter standing by him, at his side and saying that he was innocent, and defending him in the public forum, that dad was innocent of what, of killing, mom. Oh, makes me sick too. All right, question number 12. The correct answer is B as in boy. Chris Coleman. Chris Coleman said in court as he was being set and when he had his chance to speak, the Heavenly Father will protect me for the evils inside of me. Question number 13. Which father killed almost all of his family, 14 people total, including his children, at a Christmas gathering in 1987 in Arkansas? Was it A, Stephen Luke Better? That's how you pronounce it. William Williams, C, Ronald Simmons, or D, Gene Simmons? Yeah. I like to see somebody else, JDR, get away with doing something like that. If I went out with a tranquilizer gun and I shot deer and I tried to, I cut their antlers off, and then I kept on doing it over and over and over again, how long could I get away with it before the game department and the state came by and threw my ass in jail? It's a sad world when people can get away with crimes like that. Question number 13 of 20. Which father killed almost all his family, 14 people, including his children, at a Christmas gathering in 1987 in Arkansas? Yeah, JDR, you're right. Regular people, us poor lonely people down here on the bottom, would never get away with it. We can't afford. It does definitely feel like, a lot of times that there's two completely different justice systems in America. There's one for the rich and the affluential, and then there's the justice system for us lonely little peasants at the bottom. And yes, I include myself in one of those lonely little peasants at the bottom. I ain't getting away with anything like that. I know that. Question number 13. 14 people were shot and killed. JDR is going with C. So is Kitiku with three. I count them 3 question marks. Okay, the correct answer to question number 13 is C as in cat. Ronald Simmons. Gene Simmons, ladies and gentlemen, is from the band Kiss. Question number 14. Which father murdered his daughters in 2021 after an argument over cookies, day-old pizza, and other food? Was it A, Billy Joe Horton, B, Barry Morphew, C, Jonathan Taylor, or D, John Joshua Kratz Jr.? Question number 14 of 20. Which father murdered his daughters in 2021 after an argument over cookies, day-old pizza, and other food? Ronald Gene Simmons? Maybe. It very well may be cement shoes. Dot. Wild guess. D. Question mark. John Marie and JDR are going with D. Yeah, I didn't write down the middle name for the a lot of these people, unless there was like another option where the names are similar and I wrote down the middle names are junior or the third or second. I googled it. I was right. His name was Ronald Gene Simmons. So I guess technically you could count yourself correct if you got either guess either C or D, if that's the case. Bill Cosby. You know, fight over pudding pops. I miss pudding pops. The chocolate, I didn't care for the other flavors. Like I think they had strawberry and vanilla pudding pops or butterscotch. I know there was more than just the chocolate pudding pops, but I like them. They're kind of like the fudgicles, you can buy in the store now, but not quite exactly the same. But over Jello. Question number 14. All right, the correct answer for question number 14 is D, as in dog. John Joshua Kratz Jr. killed both of his daughters after an argument over food. The initial argument started over cookies and other things that were in the refrigerator that had been eaten or not eaten. And then it escalated from there, and then he killed both of his daughters. Question number 15. Which father killed their son and encased him in concrete in 2017 to not only hide the crime, but he believed it would preserve his soul? Was it A, Stephen Bodine, B, Stephen A. Smith, C, Stephen Connor II, or D, Stephen Jackson? Yeah, it's actually all Stephen or whatever. Pudding pops were ish. You didn't like them? I liked them. I'm not a big fan of sugar, treats, desserts, and stuff like that. I don't even drink soda. I do drink some every now and then. I mean, there's more than enough sugar, in a liquid death water for me. Elon Musk. How many kids does Elon have now? 11? 15? I'm not serious. I don't know. I lost track after number 7. I know he continued to have more and more kids, with more and more women after that. So I would say it's somewhere between 10 and 15. I know Elon's up there. Someone can Google it. Stephen Baldwin. Kitty Q, A, and only 2 question marks this time, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, please mark your question right now. Number 15, only 2 question marks. Kitty Q thought it was 9. It's got to be up there, somewhere between 10 and 15. Watch it be like 18 or 16. And I know that he doesn't even, he's never even seen a couple of them. And he doesn't pay child support to take care of all of them either. Real winner. Way to be an actual father. But anyways, question number 15. The correct answer is A, as in apple. Stephen Bodine killed his son in 2017 and encased his body in concrete because he thought it would hide the crime, but also preserve his soul. Did you know? What do all of these fathers have in common? Christopher Watts, Timothy Jones Jr., Cameron Brown, Josh Powell, Ronald Simmons, Joshua Caleb Smith. What do they all have in common? And note the two asterisks next to Josh Powell and Christopher Watts. Well, what do they all have in common? They all suffered from paranoid delusions and killed their children out of a twisted belief it was actually an act of mercy called altruistic facility, which is actually a pretty rare form of psychosis. They truly believe the child or children are an extension of their suffering or will be punished by society if they don't kill them. Altruistic facility. Now, why is there an asterisk? Go back here next to Christopher Watts and Josh Powell. Neither one of them, these individuals, Chris or Josh, have ever sat down with a psychotherapist to actually be diagnosed with a mental health issue. They have sat down with a counselor, but they have not, and that is only as part of their intake, but they have never taken part in any type of testing at all or, therapy, where all the other ones have. Question number 16. Get myself back on the screen. Josh Bagali shot and killed his daughters while they were on the phone with their mother. What was the last thing the two girls said? A, goodbye, mommy. B, that's not a toy, daddy. C, no, daddy, no. Or D, welcome to the jungle. Question number 16 of 20. Erectile dysfunction. Who was it? Somebody recently posted a video on YouTube. I didn't see the video. Somebody sent me the link. Somebody, who's here in the chat right now, sent me a link to the video, and Christopher Watts's whore, Nicole Kessinger, has reappeared, and Nicole Kessinger has put on a little bit of weight, but she has reappeared. I do not know where this was. I watched the little video clip that was sent to me, and I was like, oh wow, she's around. Still looks pretty much the same, just a little bit heavier than she was at the time when she was involved in the relationship with Chris. Oh my God, cement shoes. Mom says for the milkman's kids. Bonnie's gonna go with A or B. I don't know. Both are horrible. Too soon. Question number 16. The correct answer is C, as in cat. No, daddy, no. One daughter says it first, while the other one, you can hear pop. Pop, pop, pop. Yes, the audio of this entire phone call was played during the trial. No, Daddy, no. Sad. Question number 17. Why did Ronald Gene Simmons massacre stand out in American crime history? Was it A, worst family mass murder ever? B, should have been prevented? C, law enforcement's mistakes? Or D, Chad Daybell should have been there? Question number 17 of 20. Why does the Ronald Gene Simmons massacre stand out in American crime history? And now that I see the name again, Cement Shoes, you're correct. It is Gene Simmons. So again, but whatever question that was, number where it was either C or D. If you answered either C or D for that question, you can consider yourself correct on that one. Because here I've got the first, the middle, and last name. So I had Ronald Simmons as an option and Gene Simmons as an excellent. Oh, I thought the Watts daughter said no. Question number 17. Why does the Ronald Gene Simmons massacre stand out in American crime history? There have been a total, according to what the information I read online, there have been a total of 13 different podcasts or videos, not made by just YouTube creators, but by television stations like the Oxygen and the Discovery Channel, places like that, major broadcasting. But there have been a total of 13 of them that have been done about the Ronald Gene Simmons massacre. Unlucky number 13. And Kita Q is back with 2 question marks, ladies and gentlemen. Question number 17. 2 question marks. All right, the answer to question number 17 is A as in apple. Worst family mass murder ever. Ronald Gene Simmons, again, he killed 14 total members of his family. Those that did survive the actual shooting itself have to live with lifelong debilitating injuries from that night. They did it at a family gathering for the holiday. Question 18. Earlier, we covered a list of fathers who suffered from altruistic filicide. What is the connected, even rare psychosis called RFP? Is it A, the Rene frontal psychosis, B, retaliatory filicide psychosis, C, Renner foundational psychosis, or D, Rene filicide Parkinson's? Question number 18 of 20. Earlier, we covered a list of fathers who suffered from altruistic filicide. What is the connected, even rare psychosis called RFP? Excuse me. Ooh, only 1 question mark. Dun, 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 dun. Question number 18 of 20. God, I hate allergies. Where I live right now, the cottonwood trees are blooming and letting out all of their, I don't know, pollen, dandruff, whatever you call it. It's like these little tiny yellow, like buds. Oh, it looks on your car in the morning. It looks like somebody shot sand all over your car, and it's actually the pollen from those cottonwood trees. First they bloom and it's white and it's fluffy, kind of like cotton that from a cotton plant, and then after that, dissipates through the air. The last part of it is this little yellow pollen stuff. I hate them. I've been like the last like week. It's just been like I'm so congested. Take so much, well, only so much that like Dimetapp and stuff like that you can take or antihistamines. All right. Question number 18. The correct answer is B as in boy. Retaliatory filicide psychosis. And that is where a parent, mother, or father, could be either one, that kills a child to get back at the other. They're unable to kill the other parent. Maybe they're divorced and they don't live in the same household or anymore. So they kill the child to get back at the other one. Retaliatory filicide psychosis, RFP, is how it is generally referred to in abnormal psychology. Question number 19. Which father beat and murdered his adoptive daughter to death in 1991 and avoided capture for years? Was it A, John Bagali, B, Mohammed Sharaf, C, Joel Steinberg, or D, Polly Shore? Which father beat and murdered his adoptive daughter to death in 1991 and avoided capture for years? Dun, 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 dun. I don't know why I have that theme song in my head, but I do. In case you're wondering, that's the theme song to, Sanford and Son. I don't know why I have it in my head. It just popped in my head, but it's there. Question number 19 of 20. The correct answer is C, as in cat, Mr. Brady. Joel Steinberg did beat and killed his adoptive daughter in 1991 and avoided capture for years. I'm sorry I did not write down how many years he avoided capture, but he was on the run hiding for years. Question number 20. Between 1980 and 2020, which year were more children under the age of 5 murdered by their biological mother or father? Was it A, 2020, B, 2008, C, 1998, 1989, or D, 1999? Between question 20 of 20, between the years 1980 and 2020, which year were more children under the age of 5 murdered by their biological mother or father? Oh, we're back to 3 question marks, ladies and gentlemen. 3 question marks on Kitty Coo's answer. B, question mark, question mark, question mark. Dun 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 dun. We got B, D, and A and A. What year? What year were more children under the age of 5 killed by their parents, biological mother or father? The correct answer is, in fact, B. In the year 2008, we saw more homicides of children under the age of 5 than any other year between 1980 and 2020. More homicides of children than any other year under the age of 5. Nope. You were right, Kitty Coo. It's 2008. According to the CDC and the Department of Justice, the DOD, 60% of all children murdered under the age of 5 are murdered by a parent caregiver, including daycare employees and teachers. 60% of all children under the age of 5 are murdered by a parent caregiver, including daycare employees and teachers. Again, this is completely optional. That is our trivia. It's optional if you want to give yourself a letter grade. Some people like to keep track of how many they got right and how many they got wrong. I would have gotten a solid 14 out of 20 again. That's back-to-back weeks. I would have gotten a 14. But this is completely optional. We are only here for education, aspect and to hang out with friends. You do not have to give yourself a letter grade on this at all. Again, it's optional. Sneak peek at this week's poll question. You can ponder this question for the next 24 hours. Every week I post these to the community tab here on YouTube, which is expanding greatly. If YouTube gets their ways, ladies and gentlemen, and heed my warning, the things that they are going to be testing out in beta form over the course of the next couple of months, if they get their way, the community tab here on YouTube will end up being more like a Facebook, or an X, where channel subscribers can post to the actual channel itself stories on top of commenting. We are going from right now where creators get a total of 6 different options of different things. We can post pictures, polls, we can post, trivia questions, things like that. But there's 6 different total things we can do, and that is expanding from 6 to 13 here in the next couple of months. And if it works the way YouTube wants it to, it's going to bust the community tab wide open. But again, if you have to be a channel subscriber, and then the creator can limit on who can actually post stories and stuff like that to the community tab by how long they've been a subscriber. So they can't subscribe today, post to your community tab, and then unsubscribe, and leaving like garbage on your community tab. Because if they do that within a certain period of time, then it will take the post down. So you have to say like, okay, the requirement is you must be a subscriber for 30 days to the channel, and then you can post to my community tab. But if I can also set it like, okay, it's going to be 30 days, and if you have to leave it up for 30 days afterwards, otherwise, if you unsubscribe in that time, it just takes the whole thing down. But anyways, there's no need to answer today's, this week's trivia question, this week's poll question. But right now, you can answer it on the community tab tomorrow. This week's poll question is: Should there ever be parole at federal or state level for someone who has killed a child? A, yes. B, no. C, maybe. Or D, no opinion. Let's smoke a blunt and think about rainbows instead. Again, you can answer it now, or or ask additional questions about the question, or you can wait until tomorrow and answer it on the community tab. If you enjoyed tonight's content, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to stay updated and to become part of this community. And thank you all for playing along tonight. Boyfriend or stepfather or stepmother are most likely to kill a child. And sadly, I was going over the crime statistics, for the deaths of children. Well, I remember it's been a week ago, so I'm not exactly 100% sure on this, on what I'm about to say. But the homicide rate, for children under the age of 5, we've, here in America, we have seen a steady increase. Not like 20 or 30%, but it's been a steady uptick in the amount of children under the age of 5 that have been killed by their mothers. And by far that in children who have been killed by caregivers. Those are the two largest groups. I mean, fathers are still high, unfortunately, or stepfathers. And unfortunately, a lot of women who have children bring these people into the relationship without really spending a lot of time seriously thinking about what's best for their kids. And that's where a lot of not only children getting murdered, but also on top of that, sexual abuse is happening by inviting these people into your home with your kids, either during a dating situation or something along those lines, before marriage. Good night, Gianna Marie. Dot, your answer to this week's poll question is no. So is Bonnie's. Kitty Coos is going with no as well. Yeah. It's insane. A lot of people, they think with their hearts before they think with their minds, especially when it comes to their children. They get into a relationship and they have that honeymoon phase, and they don't think about what this person provides and is what they're going to do when they're in the house. Butts and Smith shoes. Bye, chat. See y'all later. Gonna go not feel well. Well, Pippadot, I hope you feel better. I really do. I hope you feel better soon. And for anyone else out there, including you, Cement Shoes, if you're under the weather, if you're dealing with other health issues, I wish you the best. I hope every day, as long as you keep hope and you keep on moving forward, don't give up. Hopefully, it gets better. Take the small victories where you can get them. Every day above ground is a good day. That's a good way to look at it, Cement Shoes. Every day above ground is a chance that that things will get better. Any plans for the week ahead? Not me. I mean, I have golf league tomorrow. Besides that, besides Monday, golf league, no. Just working on next case and following up on, you know, the Travis Decker case, here in Washington. The father who killed his three daughters, allegedly. I mean, the three daughters are dead, but allegedly he's the one that did it. Just, innocent until proven guilty. But following that case, along with doing my normal workload, and then see, that's it. Well, this isn't the last week of the month, is it? I think we have 2 weeks left, don't we? Or a week and a half. That'll be 8 days, so it'll be over a week, right? So today's only the 22nd. And then at the beginning of July, sit down like I do every year, go through the analytics of what's working and what's not working on YouTube. Because what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. Well, every year I sit down twice a year. I go through and I look at what's working and what's not. Your husband is on vacation with the kids, so I'm not mowing the grass because when I go on vacation and come home, I have to do the dishes. Yes, Travis Decker is still on the loose, Bonnie. A lot of people, believe that Travis Decker is probably out of the area. I don't think so. I personally have a hunch that he is hunkering down somewhere near Blewett Pass in Washington State. It's kind of hard to say where Blewett Pass is, in reference. Let's just say Blewett Pass is near Wenatchee, Leavenworth area. That general location in this middle of the state. But I think he's hunkering down there, waiting for things to cool off. If he does move out of that area, it's going to only be once he gets enough supplies and things to, where he is not going to have to stop. Because the search of that homestead that was near Lake Wenatchee that hadn't been lived on since the 1970s turned out to be a bust. They did find another person there living in one of the outbuildings, but it truly wasn't even close to being Travis Decker. Oh. I'm surprised that more people are not following, the Travis Decker. I mean, he killed his three daughters. I mean, think of all the other, people out there that, where they've been podcasts and live streams and special programming and everything else about, a person who killed just one child. What makes their case so unique? As opposed to somebody killed three. I mean, I don't want to be, sound cold and callous in that form, but I'm just surprised that more people are not following or covering the Travis Decker, case itself. I mean, all the major news outlets are. Hell, I mean, I'm here in Washington State. I'm probably about 150 miles from where they're looking for him. Yeah, probably a lot more than that. Probably closer to 180 miles from the area. But I mean, hell, Al Jazeera is here reporting on it. They are here in person. Al Jazeera. That's a major news outlet for the Middle East. In case you're not familiar with who Al Jazeera is, and yes, before anybody says it, I know they have a U.S. base as well, but at first you thought he had unalived himself, but now you're not sure. anymore. I mean, his dad doesn't think he's going to be taken in alive. I mean, that was like, after they found the daughters, that was the very first statement that came out from anyone from the family. His sisters are not talking anymore, and they're not returning calls or making, or doing comments, because I mean, you can believe that the Associated Press and news outlets, particularly the Fox Channel 13 out of Spokane, they're known, and you can ask anyone from East Idaho News. They're an extremely aggressive, reporters who work for that station, and they've been there at their home. And I've seen pictures of them, camped out across the street from the home. So, but they're not making any statements at all. I don't watch a lot of YouTube people, but I know one other that did deep dive into Travis and are talking about the case. See, that's the thing about the Bonnie, about the Amber Alert system. There has to be, not only does the child have to disappear, and for a certain period of time. Okay, that's like the first requirement for to have an Amber Alert. Then there has to be a credible report or evidence that the child is in danger. Now, let's use a hypothetical situation here, because I went through this entire thing with a bunch of people on the other night. If, let's say there's a husband and wife and they're divorced and they have the 3 daughters, okay, like we're going to use the situation of Travis Decker here, for example. And mom has the kids and she's supposed to drop them off, at the dad's, on Saturday morning by 10 o'clock in the morning, okay? And mom's supposed to bring the kids to the dad by 10. Let's say at 9 o'clock, dad has not seen the kids yet, the 3 girls. Do we issue a Amber Alert in that situation? Or do we, and he maybe he reached out, texted her, she hasn't answered yet, and then he calls her, she doesn't pick up. Well, and we find out later on they overslept, and mom was in the shower when dad was trying to call them or text them. If we do that every single time, and everybody starts getting alerts on their phone, would it not diminish the actual use of the Amber Alert system? Because we would get so many of those Amber Alerts on our phone. Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice if, like, okay, in the Travis Decker situation, he was clearly way past the point of when he was supposed to have the kids home. It wasn't just an hour, as in my example. Yeah, it was, and he wasn't supposed to have them overnight at all. And he knew that he could not have any overnight visits. Yeah, that's completely different from my example. But I just want to say that, look, a lot of people are like, well, it should be like 2 hours. If they're not there or 2 hours, they haven't responded within 2 hours, they should have issued an Amber Alert. You can't. I mean, we would just be inundated with so many alerts. Driving, one parent taking the children to another and their car broke down, or other situations come up like that. But in this situation, it would have been really nice if something would have happened. Maybe not send out an Amber Alert. Maybe we could have the alert system that's just below it, put out, and then have people opt into either have the Amber Alert and the other alert for children. Have both of them, and then you can opt out of the second one of getting alerts in that one. But yeah, we had locally here. We had at my son's school, unfortunately. Father, former police officer, showed up at the school, got his ex-wife out outside, and then shot and killed her at the school, and then took his son on high stakes high stakes, speed, and was missing for a while. And the Amber Alert went out immediately in that situation, but because there was a credible threat of, that something could happen to the child. Well, and then, but at the same time, though, also, I hate to say it, but there have been a lot of situations, where one parent has tried to abuse the Amber Alert system, to get back at the other as part of an ongoing, child support, or situation where they're actually getting divorced and want to use that as a card, that they can use. Look, he didn't show up on time, 8 times, or twice or whatever, and I had to call an Amber Alert in. That plays onto the sympathy of the court to give more to the one than the other. People will abuse anything that's out there. Hey, he wasn't even supposed to show up with the kids that weekend, but they do it anyways. They would use it, if the Amber Alert system, if they could, to abuse it if we lowered it even farther. People are just, there are all kinds of people out there. People will use anything, and to their advantage, or to get back at people. The pettiness of it all, and they don't realize just how much harm they can do with doing these things. But oh yeah, he's homeless. He wasn't allowed to have them overnight. He was homeless, and on top of it all, he did not have a stable place. Besides, even if he had, like, was in a group home or someplace, he wouldn't have had a stable place. On top of that, he had been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, and he also, on top of that, was dealing with PTSD. And the Veterans Administration spokesman came out and said that he tried to get help with therapy. They don't know if he was going to see another one, but he couldn't get into see one through the VA system for several months because of the rural area that he lives in. These services are just lacking, and they're lacking everywhere. This is another bull, pucky, reason. The VA says they can't give us the services. Here's an appointment. They'll cancel your appointment. Here, we rescheduled it for you, and then cancel that one. And you have to go to an actual VA hospital to get a lot of services. Like a lot of these satellite places, that we have. Good luck. Good luck. At least in this area. I can't speak for the entire United States, but I can speak for my area and the situations that we've seen here. Is why they have the Amber Alert system. If anyone doesn't know the story, we'll maybe reach out to them. They are always looking for new ideas. The Amber Renee Hagerman. Yeah. I don't know. I don't have the answer to the question of why we, or what we should do to, where the level should be. Should it be 3 hours missing? They're with the parent, but there's a credible, like, hey, this person is homeless, or maybe visitation with daddy instead. If he's homeless and he has other issues going on top of it all, maybe the visitation could have been at the mother's home, right? Or he has okay, if you don't want to force him to go to the mother's home for the visitation, it has to be at a neutral location, like the park or the playground or whatever it might be. That's another option instead of like daddy just gets to pick them up and go away. Now, I will say, and I should put in there, Whitney Decker, the mother of the 3 girls, and she said herself that there were no red flags anywhere in the relationship during their marriage, after their marriage, that where he was ever violent towards her or the girls. Yes, he had been having issues where he became homeless. And yes, he was being discharged from the Army National Guard or the Washington National Guard. Same thing. But he was being discharged because he didn't show up for, training. But that's all true. I mean, but there were no red flags, when he came to pick them up, other than he was quieter than normal. But she said during their relationship, there had also been other periods of time when he was like this as well, where he just kept to himself, didn't have a lot to say. I mean, we've all gotten the cold shoulder, from somebody before, or somebody, ghosting us, but yeah, kidnapped 1996. Ambrose kidnapped Diana Simons, said, hey, we should have a system, and fought for it. It took an awfully long time to get the system, working across the United States. The Amber Alert system, a lot of places fought against it. But, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap up tonight's trivia and want to thank everyone again. There's only 4 of you left here. But I want to thank you all for everyone who was here for stopping in tonight and playing trivia. Next week it will not be on such a cold, dark content like this. Again, we did mothers who killed their children on Mother's Day. Yeah, I know, as cold as that is, right? Father's Day was supposed to be equal, fathers who killed. Next week we'll be back onto another, true crime subject matter that is not as dark and as depressing as parents who kill children. So that'll be next week, same time, 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 5 o'clock Mountain, 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern, 12 midnight in the UK. So thank you again, everyone who here tonight. I hope you all have a terrific week ahead. Bye.